You can handle him. We can handle him. We are going to handle him. We are going to handle him. Yeah. We can handle him. We can handle Donald Trump. That's what he misses, and I'm going to go into that.
The interesting thing about this Globe and Mail article is they don't mention at all what this proceeds and toll structure actually is. Makes you wonder why. Well, there's a reason for that, folks. Mark Carney said he was going to handle Donald Trump. He said he knew how Trump negotiated, and he said he was the guy to get a good deal with Donald Trump. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after a lot of speculation as to when the Gordie Howe Bridge would finally open and what it would cost to do so, we finally have an answer. Let's take a look. From Donald Trump on Truth Social. I was able to cut a much better deal for America, and by doing so, we'll be allowing the new and spectacular Gordie Howe International Bridge spanning Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, to open on July 27th, as scheduled. The original deal made was unacceptable to me. The new deal is great and fair. Thank you and congratulations to the Canadian government. May we both have many years of success with this wonderful new development. President Donald J. Trump. And that's real because it's being reported, well, everywhere. Globe and Mail, Gordie Howe Bridge to open July 27th after Canada-US reach deal. The Gordie Howe Bridge, a second span between Windsor and Detroit, is set to open July 27th after Canada and the United States reached a deal on revenue from tolls, the federal government said on Friday. The crossing was originally supposed to open in early June, but was postponed at the behest of the Trump administration, as the Globe and Mail reported last month. According to a government news release, Canada has agreed to share some proceeds from the tolls with the U.S., even though Canada paid for the bridge construction in its entirety. Housing, Infrastructure and Communities said Canada and the U.S. have agreed, quote, to a series of cooperative measures focused on toll governance and transparency, as well as investments in the region, including through the establishment of a 15-year economic development fund tied to a portion of profits from bridge operations, end quote. It said this is to ensure that, quote, benefits are felt on both sides of the border, end quote. In 2012, the Canadian government agreed to pay the full $6.4 billion price tag for the bridge after the Michigan legislature refused to chip in. The Maroon family that owns the existing Ambassador Bridge between Windsor and Detroit had been lobbying against the Gordie Howe Bridge. Ottawa's plan since then was to be repaid with toll revenue from the bridge, which is jointly owned by Canada and Michigan. So, this is interesting because, two sides have to technically own a bridge in order for it to even function. So I guess this is kind of true. Now, this bridge project was started back during the Harper administration back in 2012. And let's see what the current government is trying to spin this as. Infrastructure Minister Gregor Robertson said in a statement on Friday that the span is a, quote, nation-building project, end quote, and, quote, a testament to what Canada can accomplish when we come together with a shared vision, end quote. The Gordie Howe International Bridge, quote, will create new opportunities, strengthen our economy, and bring economic benefits on both sides of the border for generations to come, end quote, Mr. Robertson said. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a supporter of the bridge, joined Mr. Robertson in the same statement, calling the crossing, quote, a testament to the enduring partnership between Michigan and Canada and what we can get done when we think big and bet on our shared future together, end quote. So that's nice. So they're calling this a nation-building project, which, you may not disagree with that, but it sounds like they're the ones taking credit for it. This is a little strange from the Mark Carney government, isn't it? No, it's actually not, because they like to take credit for absolutely everything, even when they have nothing to do with it. Why is that? Well, they have no results to actually show for themselves, so they have to borrow from everybody else to try to make it seem like they're the ones that actually got this done, despite the fact that the Carney government had nothing to do with this Gordie Howe Bridge, despite getting this deal. Now, the interesting thing about this Globe and Mail article is they don't mention at all what this proceeds and toll structure actually is. Makes you wonder why. Well, there's a reason for that, folks. This is from Reuters. President Trump said on Saturday he had secured a quote-unquote much better deal for the United States, allowing the opening of the bridge to proceed. Quote, "The original deal made was unacceptable to me," end quote, Trump said in a Truth Social post. Michigan Republican U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers said earlier on WJR radio that U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told him the administration reached a deal that will be announced in the coming days to allow the bridge to open soon. Rogers said the U.S., quote, "went from getting no revenue," end quote, to getting significant revenue. Quote, "We're going to get the bridge open and we're going to get a much better deal," end quote, Rogers said. A source confirmed a deal had been reached, then that the U.S. would get 50% of toll revenue and be able to veto any toll hike that is 10% more than the current tolls. Lutnick struck a deal after talks in recent weeks with Dominic LeBlanc, Canada's minister in charge of U.S. trade, the source said. The bridge has become an issue in Michigan's U.S. Senate race as Trump's Republican campaign to hold their majority in that branch of Congress. Here's another post verifying this from Bloomberg. In Friday's statement, the federal government says Canada and the U.S. have agreed to, quote, "a series of cooperative measures focused on toll governments and transparency," end quote, and the, quote, "establishment of a 15-year economic development fund tied to a portion of profits from bridge operations," end quote. The Winter Detroit Bridge Authority will also work with the U.S. on an agreement for, quote, "certain non-market related toll changes," end quote. According to a senior government source, Canada will get 50% of the bridge's toll profits in the first 15 years, with the other 50% going into that development fund, announced on Friday. But who runs that fund has yet to be determined.
Well, based on what Reuters is reporting, it sounds like we know who's going to be running that economic development fund, and that's going to be the United States of, America. And they're going to be using that fund to take that other 50% of toll revenue and do whatever they want with it, which is fine. And does it make sense that Canada and the U.S. are splitting 50-50 on toll charges? You may be able to argue that that is the case because we are partners. Some will say, well, Canada footed the bill for the bridge, so Canada should get 100% of the profits until the bridge actually paid off, and then we split 50-50 from there on in. But here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if that makes sense or not. Mark Carney was set to open the bridge, was set to give the U.S. no toll charges at all, and then the U.S. said, we're not going to be opening this bridge. And then this is the quote-unquote good deal that Mark Carney reached, that Canada only gets half of a bridge tolls that we paid for. So it's going to take twice as long to actually repay us the value of that bridge. So, ladies and gentlemen, who's the master negotiator here?
You can handle him. We can handle him. We are going to handle him. We are going to handle him. Yeah. We can handle him. We can handle Donald Trump. That's what he misses, and I'm going to go into that.
It certainly doesn't seem like Mark Carney, because Donald Trump went from no revenue to half the revenue and a veto on whether or not these tolls can go up or down. You tell me who you think is the better deal maker here.